Hello everyone, welcome to Live Interactive English. I'm Mike.
I am Rainbow.
And today and tomorrow we're going to be reading an article about a very strange festival they have in Europe. And of course, when we think of going to Europe, a lot of people think, oh, the food, the art, the culture. That, of course, is all very, very true. Well, that too. But they also have some really weird festivals in Europe, right? We've read about La Tomatina, that big food fight where they throw tomatoes at each other. There's another one with oranges. Of course, there's the famous running with the bulls in San Fermin that happens every year. A lot of these festivals have great rich culture and great rich history, but they're also really, really dangerous, which is kind of funny when you think about it. In the modern world, I think Europe is a pretty safe place, but not if you go to the festivals, because they have lots of ways to hurt you. So today and tomorrow we're going to be reading about the Human Towers of Catalonia. Just the name sounds dangerous. Now the good thing about this is, though, it's only for the local people. You can go and watch, but as a tourist, you won't take part like you would in some of those other things. So the danger to you is very small, but the danger to the little children of these towns where it happens, it's a little bit bigger. We're going to find out all about it in the Human Towers of Catalonia. I'm afraid of heights.
Part 1.
If you visit the beautiful region of Catalonia in northeastern Spain, you are likely to see many impressive castles, or castells, as they are called in the Catalan language. However, these castles are not made of bricks and mortar. They are in fact made of people.
Okay, so yes, the title of the article, The Human Towers of Catalonia. Now, if I said the Towers of Catalonia in Europe, you might go, oh yeah, sure, Europe, it's got lots of castles. Castles have lots of towers, because that's where you would expect to see a tower, maybe on the corner of a castle. It's a tall, thin building, usually built back in the old days to fight from or to keep safe inside. Towers are usually made of stone or brick or something like that. They're very tall. Soldiers might go up so they can see very far, and of course the tower would be hard to attack if you're defending your castle. But as I said, towers are usually made of stone, not people. So that's the kind of strange thing we're going to be learning about. But let's look at our example sentence for tower. The church tower can be seen from many miles away. Yeah, because the tower is usually very tall, and if it's part of a building like a church or a castle, it's usually one of the tallest parts of that building.
If you visit the beautiful region of Catalonia in northeastern Spain, you are likely to see many impressive castles, or castells as they are called in the Catalan language.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely know about all of these beautiful castles, and I can't really tell them apart because there are really a lot of them, but they're all over Europe and they're called castells in Spain.
There you go. So yeah, you would expect to see that, right? A lot of people go to Europe to look at the castles, so not too strange. However, these castles are not made of bricks and mortar. Most castles are. They're made of bricks, kind of stone blocks, and mortar, that's basically cement, that kind of wet stuff that you put on the rock and then you stick things together. It dries. It's like the glue that holds it all together. That's what towers are usually made of.
Right.
But these ones we're talking about, the ones in northeastern Spain and Catalonia, they are in fact made of people.
That sounds really scary.
People towers.
Are they dead?
No, that would be much worse. But it does sound dangerous, it does sound scary, and it also makes you go, why? Why are they doing this with people? We'll find out. But first, let's look at this word brick. As we mentioned, most towers, the traditional normal ones, are made of bricks and mortar. Bricks are those blocks of stone. They're actually made by people. I guess you could cut a brick from a stone, but generally we make bricks like we make bread. You kind of make a liquid stone, you pour it into a shape, you cook it, it dries, becomes very hard, and then we use these bricks to make walls, buildings, things like that. Often they're kind of a reddish color, right?
Yeah,
Bricks
exactly.
are often traditionally kind of a reddish color, and you'll see the person making the wall piling them up in a very organized way. Once it's fixed, you'll have a nice wall. Once the bricks are delivered, we can start building the house. They're like the Lego blocks that we build the house out of. There you go. But remember, they're not made of bricks. They're made of people. So what are they doing in Catalan? We have no idea. But we'll find out after the break.
Hello， 大家好，我是 Hanny。这2天的课程是要介绍 The Human Towers of Catalonia 加泰隆尼亚叠人塔。加泰隆尼亚是位于西班牙东北部的自治区，它的首府是巴塞隆纳。那当你来到美丽的加泰隆尼亚地区，可能会看到许多令人印象深刻的城堡。不过这些城堡并不是由砖块和灰浆所建造的，它们其实是人组成的哦。那在加泰隆尼亚语当中，这种叠人塔称为 castel。好，我们来看单字 tower， 它表示塔、塔楼。那么 brick 表示砖或是积木。再来文中的这个 mortar， 它表示砌砖等等所用的那种砂浆、灰浆，也就是沙、水、水泥或是石灰的混合物。Mike 老师这时候则用到 cement，C-E-M-E-N-T， cement 表示水泥。好，这边一个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看这个重点是主词 be likely to 加原形动词，是表达什么什么有可能怎么样。likely 在这边是形容词，就是表达有可能的。likely 的前面你还可以加上 more、less 或是 very 等等的副词去修饰可能的程度。那否定的话呢，你可以用 unlikely 去表达不可能的。我们来看2个例句。Ross is highly likely to win the match.Ross 非常有可能赢得比赛。The story is unlikely to be true. 那个故事不可能是真的。那我们补充一下哦，我们刚刚学到那样的句型，其实也可以把它改写成 It is likely 或者是 It is unlikely 再加 that 子句。这时候 it 是虚主词，真正的主词则是后面的 that 子句。举例来说 Nelson is likely to accept the job offer.也可以相当于 It is likely that Nelson will accept the job offer. Nelson 很有可能会接受这个工作机会。那这里回到课文中。
This folk tradition of building human castles or towers has a long history in the region and goes back at least 200 years. Castells are built by teams who are members of a club.There are roughly 70 of these clubs in Catalonia today. Members train hard together in preparation for their performances, which usually take place in city squares during large festivals. Originally, only men were allowed to take part, and because the average man is fairly heavy, towers were typically fairly small. In the 1980s, however, women were finally allowed to participate.This gave the practice a major boost, as women's lighter bodies allowed the towers to reach unprecedented heights. Today, some can be up to 10 levels tall.
All right, so what is going on with these towers made of people? I don't get it.Apparently
there's some kind of human castles. The article says this folk tradition of building human castles or towers has a long history in the region and goes back at least 200 years. Castells are built by teams who are members of a club. Okay, so they know each other, they're not strangers. There are roughly 70 of these clubs in Catalonia today. So maybe they do this as like a fun club activity.
Well, it kind of sounds like in, small towns you might have local baseball teams.
Yeah, that.
And they'll play against each other on the weekend. Nothing professional. It's like the school teacher and the local doctor and the local taxi driver all getting these, baseball teams or other sports clubs. But in Catalonia, they're building towers with people. These
For
are
fun.
slightly different clubs than the one I might join. We said there are roughly 70 clubs, these human tower clubs in Catalonia. Roughly is a good word to use when you don't know the exact number, and really it's not that important.
Right.
You're not delivering a scientific report or something where your data and information has to be very, very, very careful. No, here you're just describing a situation with a number, probably kind of a big number, and you're like, it was around, it was approximately. That's the kind of thing we're saying here. So there could be 70 clubs, there could be 75, there could be 68. It doesn't really matter. It's around 70. For example, there are roughly 8 billion people in the world today.
Oh, a lot of people.
I wouldn't want to know the exact, because it would change all the time.
Yeah,
people are being
always
born,
changing.
people die, people, so
and
we say
before we heard 7 billion, now it's 8.
It's around 8 billion. That's
lot.
exactly right. So, in these roughly 70 clubs of human tower makers, what do people exactly do? It says members train hard together in preparation for their performances, which usually take place in city squares during large festivals. So kind of like a big dance club or something like that. And they actually do practice.
Performance.
The same way a group of athletes would practice, or a group of artists or dancers, musicians would practice. They do that, and that's in preparation for one of their performances, one of their tower building shows or performances that they do during the summer months.
Now, preparation here is a noun because it ends in T-I-O-N. We have the word prepare for something, which is the verb form that you might have seen in preparation for. Sounds usually kind of more formal. You can also say to prepare for, and that just means to get ready. So in the case of a formal dance routine, to prepare for that, you have to practice maybe every night, 2 or 3 times a night, and you can do many things to get ready for an event, such as buying the groceries that are necessary for the party, putting makeup on your face if you're going to an awards show, or preparing means getting ready in any kind of way, and it could involve some kind of ritual or action or steps that you have to do before you're ready for something important. The actor's preparation for the role included learning how to fly a plane. So to get ready to be that person on screen, he has to learn some skills, and maybe that actor's role in the movie is a pilot. So he has to first spend a few months training and learning how to become a pilot so that he looks like he knows what he's doing.
Okay, so it's the actions and the steps he's taking
to get ready.
To get ready.
That's
all right. So yes, I think if you're making a tower with 70 other or a bunch of other people, you definitely want to prepare or do preparation.
You have to practice a lot.
Get ready. Now remember, this tradition has been going on, they said, for around 200 years. So let's kind of take a little bit of a step back in time and see how it all started and how it's changed. It says originally, so that would be around 200 years ago when the first crazy person said, let's make a tower of people. And everyone said, okay.
Okay,
so
that's fine.
Originally, only men were allowed to take part, and because the average man is fairly heavy, towers were typically fairly small. Okay, so originally it was only the men of the village could do it. Women were too gentle, too soft.
Maybe it was like too dangerous for women or something.
That kind of old-fashioned thinking, but this is the way it was at the beginning. Only men, but of course a lot of men are big and heavy, and if you have heavy men carrying heavy men, you can't really build a big tower because it's just heavy. No one wants to do that.
And the word originally means in the beginning, in the very beginning. The noun form origin is the start of something. So it could be a time or place or a moment that started something. Originally, if we add that in the front of the sentence, it could be a comparison of what happened before compared to what happened later. So for instance, if I say Dean originally wanted to buy a new truck, but he decided to buy a used one instead. I'm comparing what I thought at first, and then I'm comparing with what I did in the end. So there's 2 different actions. Originally has some sort of comparison of time. Okay, and I want to get to the next part of the article, which says, in the 1980s, however, women were finally allowed to participate. So it sounds like the women were wondering, why can't I do this too? And finally they're like, okay, you can join, and maybe it'll be different. This gave the practice a major boost as women's lighter bodies allowed the towers to reach unprecedented heights. Big word. Today, some can be up to 10 levels tall. Wow, I'm guessing that's 10 levels as in floors.
Exactly, 10 people tall.
10 levels tall.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about there. So notice it was only about 30 years ago that 30 or 40 years ago that they started to let ladies in to join this activity. So for 200 years it was just the boys, just the men, and then the ladies joined and the boys realized, hey, we can lift ladies much higher than just men.
They're light.
I guess, but the men are still on the bottom.
Yeah.
The women are now on the top.
Yeah.
So it's also safer for the men.
Yeah,
Anyways,
yeah.
It's true. The towers did get taller, and it also shows that the women of Catalonia are very, very brave.
And strong.
Let's wrap it up here for today, but we're going to have more about the Human Towers of Catalonia tomorrow. So come on back and join us for that, and hopefully no towers will come crashing down on our heads between now and then. We'll see you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.
加泰隆尼亚地区叠人塔这一项传统有着悠久的历史，至少可以追溯到200年前。那么叠人塔是由俱乐部成员团队所建造的哦。那么现今加泰隆尼亚大约有70个这样的俱乐部，那么成员们一起努力训练，来为他们表演做准备。这些表演通常就会在大型节庆期间，会在城市广场举行。我们来看单字 roughly 这个副词表示大致、大概、粗略地，有一个意思相近的字，我们学一下，叫做 approximately， 它是拼作 approximately，approximately 它表示大概、大约。再看到 preparation， 它是指准备、预备，是名词。我们可以用 in preparation for 名词来表达准备什么什么。那我们在做准备的过程中，可能会有一些步骤啊，可能有一些例行公事。Rainbow 老师这时候用到 ritual。ritual 可以表达例行公事、习惯，它也有仪式庆典的意思。那么课文接着写到，最初叠人塔只有男性可以参加，那么男性一般都比较重嘛，所以这个塔楼就叠不高。而在1980年代，女性终于获准参加。由于女性的身体是比较轻盈的，那这让塔楼可以达到前所未有的高度。现在呢，有些塔楼甚至可以高达10层诶。好，文中这个 unprecedented， 它就是形容前所未有的、无先例的、没有先例的。再看到单字 originally， 它是副词，表示起初、原来，就是当初的那种意思。好，那么这边2个重点，我们进入文法时间。好，我们来看这个重点是 go back 或者是 date back， 表示追溯到或者是回溯到什么什么。我们来看它的用法，你可以用 go back 或者是 date back 去接一段时间，或者是用 go back to 或 date back to 去接某个时期或年代或年份。所以是特定的时期、年代、年份的时候，你要用 to 去接哦。那我们补充一下 date 在这边就是当动词来表达确定什么什么年代，始于什么什么时期。造2个例句。This tradition goes back 800 years. 这个传统可以追溯到800年前。The holiday dates back to Roman times. 这个节日可以追溯至罗马时代。好，下一个重点是 take part 跟 participate 都表示参与、参加，后面可以接 in， 再加名词或动名词去表达参与某事件或活动。例如 ，More than 2,000 runners will take part in the marathon， 或者是你可以说 participate in the marathon， 超过2000位跑者将会参加那场马拉松比赛。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，同学别走开，马上回来哦。
If you visit the beautiful region of Catalonia in northeastern Spain, you are likely to see many impressive castles, or castells, as they are called in the Catalan language. However, these castles are not made of bricks and mortar. They are in fact made of people. This folk tradition of building human castles or towers has a long history in the region and goes back at least 200 years. Castells are built by teams who are members of a club. There are roughly 70 of these clubs in Catalonia today. Members train hard together in preparation for their performances. which usually take place in city squares during large festivals. Originally, only men were allowed to take part, and because the average man is fairly heavy, towers were typically fairly small. In the 1980s, however, women were finally allowed to participate. This gave the practice a major boost, as women's lighter bodies allowed the towers to reach unprecedented heights. Today, some can be up to 10 levels tall.
Sintung Sugar Factory Culture Park is a multi-purpose creative space. It is also known as Dulan Sugar Factory. It is located at the bottom of Dulan Mountain, seen as a holy mountain in Beinan culture. Originally, the culture park was a private sugar refinery located in Dulan Village, Donghe Township, Taitung County, Taiwan. During World War II, the refinery suffered damage from U.S. bombing. It was officially closed in 1991. Many years after its closing, local artists decided to revive the buildings and turn them into art spaces. Many areas and buildings of the sugar factory are now well preserved. The culture park includes art showrooms, original handmade wooden fountain pen shops, handicraft shops, cafes, bars, and even a bed and breakfast. Sintung Sugar Factory Culture Park perfectly blends traditional buildings with modern art.
See you next time!